Hey, welcome to the top of the vineyards here at Santaluz, where I live, which is where Wistful Vistas, my little slice of northern San Diego, suburban California, is located. And it's a great spot and a great day in California to go over my ownership experience after 4 years of ownership with this 2021 Aprilia Tuono Factory. Tuono is Italian for thunder. These have a wonderful exhaust note, and most shootouts or most comparative tests that are run indicate that the Tuono, in each of its variations, there's a factory version that has a little bit more in the electronic suite and a standard one that has a bit less in that regard, and the factory has a little prettier paintwork and bodywork going on for it. But the magazine tests and the video tests that you see consistently rate this machine near the top of what the so-called naked category, sometimes called the super naked category. I don't know what makes a super naked as opposed to a regular naked motorcycle. I do know that nakeds are commonly called that way because they don't generally have any sort of a fairing. Now the Tuono is a little bit of a difference in that regard because it does have some front fairing that helps to cut down on wind resistance quite a bit. In the old brochures, they used to call this a bikini fairing. Now let's be careful, this is a family channel. Because it isn't a full fairing, but it does help a lot in wind resistance, and particularly on highway riding. It does help in that regard. But it is referred to as a so-called super naked, does quite well in the shootouts and tests. What's my ownership experience been? Well, it's been rather good. Now, I'm not a typical owner. I went through a couple of years where this machine was more or less a garage queen, ridden very lightly, because I was going through some treatments for a prostate cancer that I had. By the way, if you're interested in that, leave me a note down below and let me know, and I'll share with you a little paper I wrote on that whole experience. But for those 2 years, it was pretty much of a garage queen. Didn't do a lot of miles. In fact, it doesn't have a whole lot of miles now. But my ownership experience with the machine has been rather good. There have been no breakdowns or no issues to note. I do have a problem with the fuel sensor at the moment. It's flashing back and forth. I can't really tell how much gasoline I have in it. But for many years, the Tuono's, Aprilia was one of the last ones that put a fuel gauge on the thing in the first place. So I guess I'm sort of used to that. And it's a well-known thing, I understand. I will be taking it in soon for a maintenance circuit, and they will take a look at that sensor, and I understand it might just be a factory reprogram, or it may be in fact a replacement of the sensor. Time will tell. But that little thing notwithstanding, my overall ownership experience with this has been good. Earlier Tuonos, including the 2017 that I had some issues with overheating. This one has not had any issues associated with that whatsoever. It's very lightly modified. I have the Akrapovic exhaust and the tuning system to go with the Akrapovic, so that the bike is set up and fueled for that freer breathing system. Other than that, there's not really much to talk about in terms of changes I've made to it. Handles, the levers, and the rear view mirrors, and the tail tidy, but those are pretty much cosmetic. There's nothing deeply mechanical that's been done via the chain or gearing or any of that sort of stuff, with the slight exception maybe of that Acra exhaust system. So good ownership experience, been so reliable so far. Little problem with the fuel sensor gauge. What are things that I like about it? Well, I love the sound. Most testers will mention that they love the sound of that V4, and I'm in that category. If you're a gearhead, you're just going to love that motor sound. It's unique, and one can almost identify it to the Aprilia Tuono series. So, love the motor sound. I love the motor flexibility. That V4 seems to give it some torque down low that perhaps some of the inline fours or opposed twins maybe have a little different configuration on, but it gives you some torque down low, so you can ride it at lower speeds The fueling works. You won't get that juddery feeling that you get at a lot of lower speeds with other machines. And you can ride it in traffic and be okay, and it will not overheat. The other thing that I really like about this machine is the quick shifter up and down, or it used to be referred to as an auto blipper. I think that works really well. It's very smooth. I've gotten a couple of false neutrals, let's say, going from first to second, but that's probably because I was a little lazy with my right foot on the shift and didn't really give it a firm tug upward. The other thing about the quick shifter, note that it only likes to shift down on trailing revs and up on climbing revs. That's when it's happiest. You can make it do both in different circumstances, but the machine doesn't like it. And it's not a quick riding experience. You get a little bit more powerful pop as you go into the gear. Love the quick shifter with those two comments, and I think that's pretty true of most motorcycles I've ridden that have quick shifters. Love the looks of it. I think it's just a gorgeous machine, and people will remark on how pretty it looks. And it does. If you're any kind of a gearhead or car or motorcycle person at all, you'll look at it and say, hey, that's a nice looking machine. I think it's up there with one of the better looking ones that are out on the road right now. The Popovich exhaust is just this side of being too noisy. I'm sure my neighbors aren't crazy about it, but I love it, particularly on the open road. It really enhances that motor sound. And once again, that has had no effect on the reliability of the machine whatsoever. These came with a red seat. How am I doing here? Am I staying in frame? Yeah. These came with a red seat cover. I ordered an OEM replacement called a comfort seat. It's supposed to be a little more padding in the seat area and in black, because I noticed that red in a short while was starting to look like it was going to be picking up some stains and some permanent discolorations that might perhaps over the long term lead to some problems with it. So I've got that back at home in the garage, and should this ever leave my possession, that will go to the new owner along, of course, with the comfort seat here. The other thing is this machine, as opposed to the standard Tuono, if there is such a thing as a standard Tuono, comes with two tail ends. This is the comfort tail end, and it would be set up for a pillion rider, but I've taken the pillion pegs off of this. I don't ride with another person. The colorful one that comes with it has these winglets on the back. It's made out of fiberglass, and it looks very nice. It really enhances the look of the machine. I have had it fall off. Now, there is one thing to mention. It's not a reliability issue. It's an owner putting it on correctly issue, and that is there's a latch that you have to push this tail tidy on. Excuse me, not tail tidy, this tail piece on, and if you don't get that fully latched, it can fall off, as it did for me. So I'll put a little plaque up there, or a card, or whatever you call it, so you can go and check that video out. It did fall off, and it felt like it was secure, but I've since learned to really know that it is secure, and most Tuono owners will understand what I'm talking about. Little key latch down there, and you spread it open, and you push this in, and you make sure the thing is down. So I keep that in the garage because I don't want to bang that up any more than it has been. And this does fine as an around town thing, and you're not worried about impressing people with its ultimate looks. Last thing I'm going to get into, as far as the motorcycle is concerned, are the valves, the Schrader valves, the air fill valves on this series of Tuono. And I don't know if they've kept it up or not, but they're 90-degree. Sport bike makers get the hint. Put 90-degree air fill valves on your rim. Oh, it makes it so much more easy to check your air pressure. They just come out at that angle, whereas particularly on the front brake there, you don't have to try and thread it in underneath and around and through sprockets and whatnot to get down to that airfill valve. It works great. It really does. The only downside to those 90-degree air valves is there's a aftermarket tire pressure air monitoring system I have installed on the rear tire by a company called Fobo. Once again, I'll put a card up here and show where I put those on. with the 90-degree front valve stem. That beefy little air valve cap that goes on top of that will not clear the brake caliper. So you can't use it on the front. You have to go the old-fashioned way and just check the air pressure every now and then. But on the back of the machine, I have automatic air pressure monitoring goes on, connected via Bluetooth to my iPhone, lets me know if I'm running too low on air pressure. That's a very nice aftermarket thing to do. But those 90-degree airflow valves, worth their weight in gold. I wish all the manufacturers would do it. I don't know if Tuono is still doing that or Aprilia is still doing that. If somebody out there in the great beyond can tell me that, I would be pleased to know it. But I hope so, because it is quite handy that they're there. That's a whole lot of my ownership experience. I don't want this to ramble on for too long. Sharing it up here on such a beautiful day in SoCal on a little ride around the neighborhood, as it were. And I'll just close by saying that I've just won another motorcycle, from Jarrett Campisi of Campisi Customs, is built by Build Series. I'll list his information down below. It's an MV Agusta that's a direct competitor to this machine, although it's quite a high plane. That'll be coming in the next couple of weeks, I think, and I'll have 2 motorcycles in the garage. Now, a person in my circumstances doesn't need 2 motorcycles, but it doesn't hurt to have 2 motorcycles, that's for sure. And I'll be able to do some side-to-side comparisons and some test runs with them, and I hope to share that with you all. In the meantime, any questions about Tuono ownership? This is the second I've had, as I said. This was preceded by a 2017 factory that was beautiful and also pretty much trouble-free machine, and had this one for 4 years now, enjoying the use and enjoying the ownership experience. So any questions, again, put them down below. I'll see you out there, and ride safe.